Welcome back to the Let's Talk Vibes podcast, where we speak soul contracts. I'm your host, Lauren.
And I'm Yana.
And this week we are joined by a fellow practitioner and a dear friend of mine, Almerinda, to discuss the 13-4. Hello, Almerinda.
Hello, Lauren and Yana. Thank you very much for having me. I'm so excited with what you guys are doing, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so happy to have you here. So, this is actually going to be our first deep dive episode. So, what we're going to be doing is, in our first two episodes, for those who have already been listening and are caught up, which if you're listening to this episode, you probably are, we've given you an overview of all of our numbers. And now we're going to be taking an episode to dedicate to each number. So, for this first episode, we wanted to dedicate to the 13-4 because it is such a loving, beautiful number. And Almerinda, you are someone that I so associate with the 13-4. So when Yana and I were first doing our planning, I already knew that this was the episode we needed to have you join us for.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Truly, truly, so humbled to be here. And I love the 13-4. I love that energy so much.
Now, before we dive into it, I want to give the listeners a little bit of background on how we know each other. So I did my level 2 training. Goodness, it was back in the summer of 2022, and you were assisting on that training. And I mentioned at one point, I think at the end of the training, I was like, one day I really want to create retreats around the system. And you popped up and you were like, Lauren, I want to do retreats too. Let's work together on that. And, here we are. It's now 2024. Retreats have not happened yet, but we do have our check-ins every, few months just to see how life is, just to say, hey, is that still a goal that you have? Do you still want to do that together one day? And you always say, and this is very 13-4, I'm trusting in the divine flow, divine timing.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we connected since then and stayed in close contact. And yeah, that comes up. And so definitely going to just keep it out there, put the energy out there and see what comes to us. I'm open to it. I'm trusting that everything will work in divine timing.
Yeah. So let us know, everybody, if you would be interested in one day, maybe next year, maybe in 2 years, going on a retreat around the soul contract system. And we'll provide more information as we come up with more of information. Well, shall we jump into this beautiful number, this beautiful 13-4? Almerinda, do you want to do us the honor of giving that overview before we dive deep?
Sure. So I happen to have a 13-4 in my spiritual goal as on my as written name, and then in my phonetic name, I have it as physical talent. And I love the energies because in combination, they're all about unconditional love and just open. To me, there's nothing else that matters in the world but opening ourselves to the love unconditionally. And I love the symbols in both those numbers, which I often connect to. 13 is the divine feminine. It's a mother ladder, and it's the mother God, right? And who is here to nurture us all, right? And when I look at the symbols, they're water. They depict water. So there's the upper pond of water, if you will, and then the lower, bigger pond of water. So to me, the upper pond represents the wisdom, the spiritual wisdom, the wisdom up above. And then the lower pond of water in Mem, for me, represents the waters within us. And the deeper we go within our own feelings, because water is about emotions, connecting with them, connecting with our emotions. So the more we go deep within and we feel within, I think that opens up, to our true essence. So I like to make
Yes.
the connection when I and when I look at the symbols, because when I first learned this work, I found it very helpful to connect with the symbols. They really spoke to me. And it's as I continue to look at the symbols, like I get more and more and more from them. Um, so I think that's the magic of this work. Like as you connect more deeply with this work, the more you open up.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I
Even
think
just seeing that 13-4, even for me, like after all this time, like I see a 13-4 and I'm like, oh, the love, the flow, like it's like this energy of like, I'm just gonna wait for you to come to me. And when you come to me, I'm just gonna like put my arms around you. It's this beautiful, motherly, loving energy. And what's very interesting, it almost cracks me out. It is about the water, right? It's the emotions. But the
Hmm.
flip side of that too is you can be the biggest ice queen. You cross me and then it's like all gloves are off, the heart is frozen, and you're done. And it cracks me up because my daughter, she's only 2.5, but she's got a 13-4 in her spirit. No, I'm sorry, her physical talent. And you could absolutely see from the moment she was born, if she's not into you right now, you don't get an ounce of any. The face comes on and she's like, don't look at me, don't touch me, don't talk to me, don't nothing. And it cracks me up from such an early age how we embody these frequencies. But when she has warmed up to you and she has given herself that like option to like open up. Oh, she's just loving and she wants your attention and she wants to kiss you. And when there's younger children than her, she just wants to mother them. So like getting to see both sides of that from a 2-year-old, it cracks me up because I'm like, what beautiful potential you have to come into. But then that icy side, I'm like, okay, girlfriend. It's just so funny.
and when I hear this, I think of Dalet, I think of four, because the 13 is always combined with the four. And
Hmm.
four is all about trust.
Hmm.
And so when your daughter, as you shared, when she's feeling the trust, in that space, when she's feeling that love and feeling that nurturing, then she can open up. And that's Dalet in a
Oh
nutshell,
yeah.
right? Just trusting and opening up. And the more you open up, the more will come to you.
Oh yeah. And she's got the four. Okay, so she's got 13-4 physical talents. Did I say physical talents before? I did, no?
Yes.
Okay. And then she's also got 4-4 spiritual talents. So it's all it's just like it's just such a beautiful display. And as you work with these numbers, right? As you see these frequencies playing out in your life, you really get to see them in such a beautiful range. Um, now, we do see that more of this 13-4 is coming out, and it's this age of Aquarius kind of energy. It is this like divine feminine. It is, we want to raise like Christ conscious, we want to bring this love and this beauty to the world. And I get so excited when I see this in charts because sometimes people don't even realize the potential of what this frequency can
Mhm.
show up as. And I think when they do, it lights them up almost, and it's like it just feels so good. And of course, it's so fitting you're wearing red today. The color of love. It's just like you're radiated, but it's your voice. It's like everything about you like embodies this 13-4 energy. So when Lauren first said Almerinda's going to do 13-4, I was like, okay, because I didn't know you at the time.
Mhm.
And then a few weeks ago, we both assisted on the soul contract level 1 training. And as soon as I saw you on there, I was like, oh my God, you're going to be on the podcast. And then hearing you take lead in teaching some of the frequencies and just your voice, I was like, okay, I get it. I get the 13-4. I'm on board. Like it makes so much sense. You embody it so much, girlfriend. It's amazing.
Wow. Thank you. I'm really deeply humbled. Um, so I decided I had a different top on, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I haven't worn this top in a while. I didn't even make the connection, right? So yeah, so this is again I share that because it's just like just going with what feels best, and it's always purposeful. Just trusting, and because if something feels good, then honor that feeling, because most likely it's perfect for whatever the occasion is. Like me putting on this top, it just felt good, and I hadn't worn it in years. Like, this is a top I had many, many, many years ago, and it's like, oh my God, where'd this thing come from? And it's like, okay, I'm gonna wear it. So Yona, as you highlighted, like, I didn't plan it. It was just trusting and allowing it to be, and that's Daled, right? And I spoke about the symbols and connecting with them. When I look at Daled's symbol, I think of the first cup, filling my cup with the things that bring me joy.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we fill our cups with the things that we love to do, the things that bring us harmony, that bring us peace, that cup will overflow, and it'll fill that second cup and expand in the same way. And
Oh,
just
yeah.
trusting in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because 4 is just trusting that everything that you need is going to come to you, but you've got to come from that space of humility. And Yana, I'm grateful to be here. I truly, truly am grateful to be in this beautiful space that you guys are creating and sharing. And Daled teaches us that humility
Mm-hmm.
is what is so important. Trusting that even in that time of lack, when we don't feel that we're, because I have dominant 4s.
Okay.
And it's that duality of going from barren to fruitfulness. And I've had lots of the ups and downs in my life of being barren, including losing my children. Have them as part of my life. When I separated in 2004, I physically had them taken away from me by my ex-husband at the time. And it was like, how could that happen? How can me, biological mom, I wasn't abusive, I was a good mom. How can that happen where I can just, not be able to see my children? And the only thing that kept me going was my faith. Just having faith that, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to trust in God. Put all of my faith in God. And I'm worthy. I'm worthy of being a mother. I'm worthy because my ex-husband taught me that, right? Recognizing now what our soul contracts together, what they I'm so grateful for what he taught me, was just to feel worthy of being a mother, feel worthy of giving love, feel worthy of receiving love, which is what 13.4 is all about, unconditionally.
Unconditional love, absolutely. And it's funny because I recently just did a post about this 13.4, like that manifestation is strong, right? And your thoughts are creating your reality. And the post I just did was about you're going to manifest. You're going to manifest, period. So why not manifest your best? Why not put yourself in a place of worthiness, in a place of wealth, in a place where even if you don't have it, just tell yourself you have it and watch it come to you. But it's like, if you're going to manifest something, because your thoughts are manifesting your reality, why not put your best out there? And this is such a beautiful depiction of that, because that 13.4, it is that divine feminine, but this huge manifestation energy. And it's like, sit in that place of worthiness is such a huge factor here. When you feel worthy, then you're telling the universe, I am open to receiving. I am open to receiving the highest form of everything coming to me, because this is the divine feminine, but it's a self-love. And it's like, when you are filled with your own self-love, you are loving, you are loved, then the universe says, yes, you are. And here's all the ways that it's going to show up for you. And it will. And that is such an important aspect to this frequency. It's that 4 that brings into the 13, but it's like they go hand in hand. You know, and the whole mother role, the fact that you had to experience that, what's beautiful is you came into that wisdom aspect where you're like, okay, this is a situation that happened to me. And you're reflecting on how did it play out and why did it play out that way? And you're like, okay, it made me better. It gave me the result that I needed. It showed up for me when I needed it. It was a huge lesson. All these frequencies, even like the challenging aspect of them, they're not meant to break you down. They're not meant to keep you in this place of challenge and conflict and just difficulties. But you take it and you reflect and you go, okay, where can I improve here? And then you watch it show up for you because it absolutely will and it can.
Absolutely. Oh, everything is purposeful, right? There are no coincidences in life, and this work has taught me that so powerfully. You know, in my journey, when I navigated that journey of my children and not being with them and not being able to see them, not having access to them, it was all designed to teach me that even though there was this lack, that lack represented the absence of self-love that I had for myself, and really teaching me to love myself and not feel that I wasn't worthy. So that was the beauty of 4, having it as my dominant energies. And now I've come to understand that for me, being generous, because I went through a lot of lack in my life, you know, not having enough money, not having, you know, not having my children, not having my self-worth. But I've realized that the more I give of myself, the more I share of myself, the more, you know, I just give unconditionally, it does come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I retired in 2017. I was financially raped going through my divorce because we went into litigation, financially raped. And if you were to say to me in 2004 that I was going to retire from my corporate career in 2017 and have so much abundance in my life, no, you would think,
Right.
no, that's not going to happen. And we're getting ding dings, you know, like that's not going to happen. And here I am, you know, I found a new relationship. We've got this beautiful home together. My children are a big part of my life. You know, I ended up, my ex-husband ended up just relinquishing sole custody to me at the time, which I never even wanted. I wanted to share a joint, but he got himself into a little bit of trouble, and the universe has a way of kind of, you know, reminding you that, you know, there's karma, right? And so, and I'm getting dings, right? So I didn't let those moments of lack change who I was. And I kept my faith. That's what kept me really grounded and really kept me going, having the faith and giving of myself unconditionally. And the universe has given me so much abundance rather, but I always come from that place of gratitude because I think humility is key.
Mm-hmm.
Is key to everything.
And you touched on something really important too, where it's the giving aspect, right? And when we give to others, I don't care if it's a child, I don't care if it's whoever. When you give to others, you're not really giving to that person, you're giving to the universe. And it's about giving it without having any expectations and completely surrendering with what happens with the thing that you give. And when you do that, when you give to the universe will always give you back exactly what you give it.
Yeah.
So when you come from that unconditional love, which is this beautiful 13-4 energy, and you come from that place and you're giving it, girlfriend, you're a perfect example. It keeps coming right back to you. And when you live and embody that space, you're like, why would I ever want to not be in this place?
Yeah.
You know, it's so validating and it's so loving and just so filled with all this beautiful stuff. And that is a perfect depiction of this 13-4.
And I just want to add, I think it's all about opening your heart space, right? You've got to open that heart space of yours, because open up that grief, let it flow through you, feel it, experience it. There's magic in navigating that. So many nuggets that'll come out of that. And the more you open up your heart to that pain or that grief, the joy will come from that. There will be joy at the end. But when you keep a closed heart, it's really hard to receive.
And, when you talk about, that heart space, that reminds me of the number 7, which is going to have its own episode. We're going to get really in depth with it. But the 7 is very connected in with the heart. And it's also a magnetic number. And that's another connection that I see in with the 13-4, because with the 13-4, when people have this number, especially as a talent and as their spiritual talent, especially, it's a sign that people will be drawn to you in order to be loved, because they will, right? It's like that love draws them in and they need that. So they're drawn to you to be loved, and then they love you in return.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certainly a few celebrities I think we could all probably think about where they give off this really loving energy. People then really do love them so much in return. So that's another kind of connection I see in with that 7 is that, yes, like when you have that open heart space, as you're talking about, people are drawn to you because they want that love. They want to feel that way, because sadly, right, a lot of us don't. This is the other part of the 4, is that when you have it, either karmically or you just haven't unlocked that talent, it can make you be not very open to receiving love. That's one of the questions we'll often ask people with 4s. Do you feel worthy of abundance? Are you open to receiving love? And it's like one of those things that I remember getting asked that question by someone else in a training one time, a fellow student. And I was like, oh man, unfortunately, I feel like the answer is no. I don't know that I am. So, again, that 13-4, it's going to draw you in. It's going to make you feel loved, because a lot of people with that 4 energy are a little bit closed off to that.
Well, very, 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 very true. And I always felt there was something wrong with me,
Mm.
and I think that's the 4, right? Feeling that, okay, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with me? How come my children are taken away from me? How come I can't be a mother to my biological children? Like, what's wrong with me? And so as I connect again to the 13-4, the 13 being the water, that purification, I had to purify all of that, go through that cleansing of all of those feelings that I was experiencing, which was my world. And that's what I was attracting, because I wasn't feeling worthy. My ex-husband at the time was telling me I wasn't worthy, but because that's how I felt. And so that was what was coming back to me. But the moment I started to feel like, no way, man, like I am the mother here. I am their biological mother. You're not going to take them away from me. I'm not a bad mother. Like, I'm not a bad person. Like, I just need to
Yeah.
separate at this time, but I'm going to continue being your mother. And I tell you, it's like I can remember, just the more I kept feeling that worthiness, I became more empowered. And it's like, no, that, I am worthy of this. I am worthy. And I did all of my, like, that empowerment came through that feeling empowered. And that journey that I navigated, it was from that purest of love. I never wanted to deny him being a parent equally with our daughters. Never. It came from that loving space. I truly, humbly say that from the bottom of my heart. And I only went into litigation because it was like, I have to fight for what I believe is mine. Not
Right.
going to let anyone take that away from me. Right. But it always came from that loving space with great integrity, with great humility. And the universe just gave it all back to me. Like, it brought me to my knees. The universe just gave it all back to me. And we have the best relationship. Like, it's just, oh my God. And now I'm a grandmother. So it's like, wow.
Amazing. I do want to touch on, we keep talking about this mother aspect, right? But also, if you find this 13-4 in a karmic placement, well, I guess if you find it anywhere, you're going to feel varying degrees of this, but we also know this 13-4 as the mother wound, right? And not as, not only as, okay, this, my children were taken away from me, but your own wounds with your mother, you know, and every time I see this, I will say this, every time I see this frequency in all positions except talents, there is almost always a very strong mother wound. Yes, I had a tough relationship with my mother. She wasn't available to me, or I had to mother her as the child. And then when I see it in a talent position, more likely than not, I will see where people are like, I have the best relationship with my mother. And so that mother aspect, if you do have that mother wound, it is so important to find that unconditional love, because it's really hard for us, especially as we're going through situations, to be able to say, well, I understand why somebody did what they did, right? Because we're hurt and it's all about us. And like, I can't believe someone did this to me. But then when you are able to sit back, and especially with a mother, your mother, since we're talking about this frequency, and being able to sit in a place of healing where you're like, okay, she did the best that she could. She did all that she knew how to do. It may have looked ugly. It may have caused this huge divide, but that is the best that she could do. How can I heal that? So healing that mother wound within yourself, healing doesn't mean you have to sit face to face with the person who may have hurt you or done wrong by you. Healing means that within yourself, you heal that relationship, that feeling, that emotion that is tied to that person and situation. And it's so important to heal that within yourself with your own mother struggles that you've experienced, so you can fully tap into all the beauty that is the 13-4.
Wow. So very timely. I have 13-4 in my phonetic name as a physical talent. And then in my as written name, I have a 13-4 in my spiritual goal. So my mother was always present in my life. And growing up, she was very loving, very, very loving, very, very loving. And I see that in my talent, right? I didn't experience any feelings of abandonment from her, to be honest. She did everything for my sisters and I. There's three of us, and she did everything for us. She's going to be 86 on Monday, the 1st of April, and we celebrated her birthday yesterday. And she lives, my father passed away in 2013. She spends time with my sisters and I. And she's got the early onset of Alzheimer's. And as I reflect on having 13-4 in my spiritual goal, I see how I'm taking care of her and how she took care of me, many, growing up. And now as she ages, I'm so grateful to have her in my life. And she's not all there cognitively, but man, she's a solid, strong woman. And so I feel like physically, she's there to defend and hold the, so as I connect with the energies that are within my charts, like that's how I see them. My mom, in my spiritual aspect of my life now, being 59 years of age, I can see how the 13-4 has manifested in my life in so many ways. But now with my mother, as you open up that space, Yana, it was hard for me. My mother wound was seeing my mom going through Alzheimer's and having to take care of her. It's like, I don't want to be responsible. I don't like, why do I have to like now take care of you? Like, and I went through that journey.
Right.
Yeah.
She was teaching me to love her unconditionally and to remind me that she was there for me. So she's, unconditionally. And so this journey of Alzheimer's, which has been very, very difficult to navigate, I'm grateful for what she's teaching me, to hold that space for her, to be here for her, to love her unconditionally, irrespective of what's going on with her cognitively. And it's been challenging. So just, being open to nurturing her, holding her in my arms now, as she's
Yeah.
86, going to be very soon. I don't know that I could physically because she's a big woman, but but you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Yes. It's like that book.
oh yeah, Love You Forever.
I'm not,
Love You
yes, I was
Forever.
like, I don't remember the name, but
Robert Munch. Robert Munch, my
yeah.
favorite book. I gifted it to
Yeah.
my granddaughter. Yeah. Yeah, it's that divine, open, safe space, that nurturing, and her reminding me that, I'm here for you, Mom. Even though I may not sometimes want to be, and it's so hard to be, but
So, as practitioners, how we tend to attract people with the same numbers. I'm curious, like, for how many of your clients you notice will have 13 fours in their charts, and do you attract more who have it as talents or karma or goals?
so that's interesting. In the beginning, so I have, in the beginning, I was attracting a lot of sevens.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, when I was doing readings, a lot of sevens. And I still do attract sevens. There's always a 13-4, so yes. What I'm noticing now is I'm getting like the higher numbers, a
Mm,
lot of higher numbers, and most recently, a lot of 22 fours.
beautiful.
So how
Me
do we
too.
connect the dots? How do we connect the dots? Like, am I now opening up, more? Have I healed more? Like, because when we do a reading, we're also healing ourselves as practitioners, right?
Yeah.
So share your nuggets from that. Like, what are you guys seeing in your numbers, like in your readings? Are you attracting the same numbers in your readings?
It's it's interesting because recently what I have found almost is that readings that I have maybe close together, there will be something similar. So for example, I had readings, well, there was a reading I had for a client and then someone that just met and I just ended up pulling up her chart and they each had a five and threes in karma. So where one will be in the physical, one will be in the spiritual, and it was like reversed for them. But then by having that kind of in back to back days, I was able to pick up on some trends of things that were the same for both of them. And then it made me be like, okay, note to self, when you see that certain combination, ask these questions, see if that continues. Or similarly, recently where it's like, oh, an 8-8 in the soul destiny. And then, the very next day, 8-8 soul destiny, right? So it's like, that's almost what I'm seeing. It's not something in particular, but it's more of like in these back to back days, there will be something the same between them. What about you,
Right.
Yana?
Um, I will say in the beginning, majority, I still attract a lot of people who I have the same energies. And I think that's kind of like the gift because understanding them so well, because I embody them for almost 41 years. I have gone through experiencing those specific frequencies in the challenges and in the gift talent position. So for me, I love when I get people who have the same or not all the same. It's never all the same, but they have a majority of the same ones because I'm like, oh yes, here's my gift to you. Here's all the knowledge I have, like good and bad and indifferent. And I feel like they like thrive in that. But I will say that over the last maybe couple months, I am seeing more people with that 22-4, most definitely. I'm seeing lots of 12 threes. And what I'm seeing is a lot of the frequencies from my optimized name,
Mhm.
which I guess I never like put together until like I started seeing them more. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm getting a lot of that. So yeah, maybe it is part of that evolution within yourself. And now you're so open and understanding to more frequencies because you're able to help in a different way. So, for example, in my business name, I have a 16/7. And I remember when we were first looking at the energies of that, one of the questions was because that 16/7 is that translator, and they bring in that I can explain things very simply for people to understand. And it's like, do you want to draw in a lot of the people who are just awakening so you can help guide them through that? And I was like, I don't know. I was indifferent to it, but now I see it as such a beautiful gift. So when I do get that 16/7 come in and you're able to share that, or that 13/4, the 22/4, and it's funny because I brought in a 13/4 in my optimized name, and I was doing it with Nicholas, our teacher. And it was in the class, in level 3 is when we did it. And I said, he's like, oh, look, you got a 13/4. I said, wait a minute. My daughter has a 13/4. So we have to make sure that we're not creating a karmic clash or a goal clash or anything like that. It has to like work because it's not worth it for me to bring it in if it's going to possibly affect my relationship with my daughter. And the way they fell together was they were both beautiful together in the same talent position. So I was like, okay, blessings, because all I ever want to do is build a deeper connection and a more loving relationship with her. She's my everything. So anyway, this is my long way of going around and saying, yes, I see a lot of people with the same frequencies as me. And yes, I am seeing also more people coming in with those higher level numbers. And it's not that one number is better than the other. So let's clarify that now. They just embody different things. And I think as we enter more into the age of Aquarius and we enter more into way more awakenings happening faster and quicker around the world, you are seeing more of the, like this 13/4 is that divine feminine. You are seeing more of these Christ consciousness energies that will show up to help uplift and awaken and inspire and help people grow. So, and I'm sure energetically, that's probably happening for a lot of us practitioners because more people are awakening and they're understanding what their gifts are and what they have to offer. And it goes way beyond just themselves. And now here you are helping them tap into that and understand it and helping it grow.
Beautiful. Yeah,
So nice.
very nice.
Doesn't it feel so rewarding to be able to help be, even though it's a small part in somebody's life, it's a drop in the bucket, but like if you can be like 1 ounce of inspiration or deliver 1 ounce of hope or love or encouragement to somebody from the work that you do, it's like that 1 hour session that you're sitting with me, if that's all I do all day, it's like, oh, my cup is full. Because you're the people coming to you are not people who, you may get some people who are like, I just want to see what this is, and they resist and resist and resist the whole reading, right? That happens. But 99% of the people that are coming to you are people who want to see the change, who want to grow, who want to spiritually continue on this beautiful path. And it's just such a rewarding thing to be able to do and give and offer to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I found is that I sometimes, a client will say, oh, I have to gift this to my daughter. And it's like, just let her come to me if she wants. Because that's, again, me trusting and not forcing, and, the client not forcing, because as much as our intentions may be honorable, someone might not be ready.
Right.
So it's just letting that, letting that unfold naturally. Because I have found the magic in this work comes from, like, I've not had a reading. I honestly have not had a reading where people resist what they receive as information. And they'll want to do the work. And I think that's a symptom of, because most of my clients come because they want to, and not because, like they've seen me at do a webinar, or they've seen me at an event and they're like, wow, okay, I really want to connect. So I've done a mini reading, and so they've had a taster. So, I think again, just trusting that whoever's meant to work with you will be there.
Okay, what is so perfect about what you're saying, Almerinda, about that trust and that flow is that 13-4 energy. It's about like, I know that the people that are ready for me and that want to do this and want to learn and grow, they'll come find me. So I don't need people necessarily, like you're saying, like if someone is going to buy that gift for someone else, that other person may not want it. They may not be ready for it. So trusting that when they are ready or when anyone is ready, they will find you. And like we talked about, there is room for everybody. There's room for every practitioner because there's so many people in the world. And it's not about a competition. It's not about, it's just an energy thing. I have found that people, there's so many practitioners, but people will be drawn to a specific one because their energy calls them to it. Could be the way they talk, the things that they say. There's just something that draws them to it. And that's the beauty of it. We're all just here to help everybody else. And we also get the help too. It's not that like I can read my chart and know all my answers. I can never read my chart. I hate reading my chart. I will always go to someone else and have them decipher it for me. Isn't that crazy? It's almost like you're blocked from yourself.
And every time I get a reading of my chart, I hear another thing about it, right? That hasn't been shared previously with me. So that's the magic of this work, because it's just, there's so much to it. And a practitioner will bring his or her own, energies into it and their interpretation of it. And it's always perfect for the moment. Like I always get what I need in the moment from a reading. And if I go back and have my chart read by somebody else like you, I like to have fun. Just, okay, where am I at now? Where am I at now in this journey? And
Yep.
there'll be something new that'll come through.
Yep.
And
So
one thing I want to talk about, because I think we've implied how powerful this number is, but we haven't explicitly stated just how powerful the 13-4 is. And it's because when we think about, there is somewhat a tier of power in the numbers. We talk about the 9 is the most powerful number in the system. Well, I think just below that, you have the 1, the divine masculine, and the 13, the divine feminine. And what makes the 13 so special is that it is just as powerful as these numbers, but its appearance, it's how that power is executed is so different. It is so soft. It is so smooth. I like to describe the 13-4 as suave. It is a suave energy. And, that's what makes this number in some ways so amazing, because it is so powerful, but it's not the in your face power of the 9, and it's not as masculine in expression, as action oriented as maybe the 9 or the 1 would be. It's all about, again, as we talked about before, being receptive, being in flow, having trust, but being equally strong. And I just think that is important to say, because I think anybody listening to this is probably very open to the fact that, soft doesn't equal weak. But I do think it's still just important to say, for the record, this is a soft energy, but it is a powerful energy.
it's passive, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
passive, right? Where that unconditional love is just felt. You don't have to speak, you don't have to do anything. It's just there. It's still, it's there, right? It's not aggressive, it's not in your face. It's soft, it's nurturing, it's loving. Um, yeah, it's just a very, very, very soft vibration. And I like to say it's passive.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
and that is a perfect description of that feminine, that divine feminine. When you're in a feminine space, you're sitting back, right?
Mhm.
You're in this receiving space. And I think what I've noticed is I'll see in a lot of women they have that 10-1, that masculine. So they're the doers, they're the givers. And when we sit back and we sit in that receiving space, that's our feminine space, man, the shift in change, the shift in what you receive and how things work out for you is completely different. And it's not about doing, leading. It's about just sitting back and letting others do for you, letting the universe do for you.
That's the shadow side of this,
Mm-hmm.
right? that's the shadow, because I mean, especially, I know, Lauren, you're not a mother, but as mothers, we're always doing, but you do in other ways. I know you have 12-3, Lauren, as well, but we're doing, right? And giving. But we also need to receive. And so
yeah.
we balance, right? That is so required with this mother letter of man.
And what's interesting too is with that 4 and the 13-4, there is a high likelihood that at least one or all of your children are these little button pushers, and they always need mom, 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 mom. And you're like, okay, I just need a second. But it's about remembering that unconditional love and showing up from that unconditional love space. And then they will also be one of your greatest sources of receiving unconditional love through that. It's this beautiful, the 13-4 is a sharing energy. It wants you to share that love. It's not selfish, although it may show up selfish as you're like breaking through that challenging aspect. It's not about being selfish. It's about just being given. And the 4 is like, they want, well, if you got something, I got something too. And but it's like what's fair is fair, right? And it's like when you just give, just sit in that beautiful space of giving from that divine feminine, that motherly energy, and man, watch it just reward you in such beautiful ways. And it's funny, Lauren, you mentioned about the whole power thing, and it's like we know too, like that feminine is so powerful. When I sit in my feminine, oh, I feel absolutely amazing. I would have sworn right now. Like, because I just want to, I actually do feel fucking amazing. That's how I feel. Okay. It is because you're like, oh, this energy, oh, amazing. I'm going to sit in this as much as I can.
Yeah. And I want to connect it with children too, right? How our children teach us, not just biological, but just children in general, how they love you unconditionally, right? They haven't been conditioned by the world, and so when you connect with children, which if we embody these the 13-4 energies, it's a way we can embody the true essence of these energies is with children, where they teach us, all about unconditional love, giving of ourselves to them, right? We want to protect our children. We want to love them and just nurture them and keep them safe.
Well, this number, it really is such a beautiful energy. Again, it is all about love. And it's such a, it's so fun to talk about because it is so fun just to sit in that space, like you're talking about, Yana, just to be able to sit in that. It's so beautiful. Any final thoughts from either of you ladies?
What's coming through for me is just, surrendering with these energies. For me, it's about surrendering with grace, surrendering with love, surrendering with stillness. And yet, those energies, they're not weak, they're powerful and they're strong.
Yeah. I think my final thought is just that it's also just so much about ease, right? This is the energy of doing things the easy way. We talk about with the 21-3, it's the energy of doing things the hard way. This is the counter energy to that. It's flow, it's ease, it's, putting your feet up and just trusting it all to come and to work out. It's so beautiful, it's so loving, it's so easy.
I second all of that, you guys.
And with great humility.
Yes.
With humility and gratitude. I think that's the other word that's been coming to my mind, Almerinda, as you've been speaking about humility, is gratitude. So much gratitude. Yeah.
Gratitude as I hold my.
Oh,
Oh,
a heart.
your rose quartz heart. I love it. I love it. Yep.
Yeah.
Another word that just popped up to me with this energy too is this humbling of yourself. And it's this space of love. But when you sit in a humbled space, man, I mean, I know for me, this past year has been a huge humbling lesson. And I almost didn't even realize I was going through it until I was like knee deep into it. And then I thought, okay, just surrender to it. It'll be fine. Just surrender. It'll come to you. And then when you sit in that space, you really do get rewarded with some beautiful results. It's amazing. And what a beautiful energy to embody. And listen, even if you don't have a 13-4 in your chart, just print out 13-4 in a piece of paper and let it sit next to you. Put it on your heart. Just feel the energy. And I know that may sound silly, but what it embodies, just put it up, print it on your wall, look at it every day, and let it remind you of that divine feminine, of that love, of that unconditional love, of that flow and that trust, and just bring that energy onto you, into you. You can have it. You can have it.
Well,
So,
also, if you have the letter M in your name, then you do have that energy. That's something that we haven't really talked about is the fact of when you have those letters in your name, whether it's actually in your chart or not, you have that energy.
right. It still shows up for you.
Yep. So if
Good
you
point.
have an M, if you're a Mary, a Matthew, a Michael, you got it. Well, I
Really.
think this is the perfect place for us to end. So we're just going to remind everybody, thank you so much for joining us. As always, head over to our Instagram, Let's Talk Vibes, the Let's Talk Vibes podcast. Let us know your thoughts of this episode, how much you loved hearing about this number. And if you ever want to go on a retreat with us in the future, not that that's out yet, to be clear, that's not in existence yet. But let us know if you want to help us manifest that sooner. And of course, you can also head over to our site, the ltvpodcast.com. You can submit to receive a copy of your chart to know what energies are at play in your life.
And Almerinda, let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, all of my social media links are available on my website at heartquest.love.
Beautiful. And everybody, thank you for listening. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, ask us questions on any of these episodes, all of the episodes. It is the best way to support us, and we gratefully appreciate it. And have a blessed, blessed day. Bye.
Bye.